Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Torchtales. And you guessed it, one more guest, one more episode. And today, here we are. In fact, I'm not even going to tell you where we are because I'm going to let our guest tell you where we are, because he's been here more than once and this is my first time. So who am I to tell you that? Not only do I have someone that's been in the industry for more than 30 years, almost 40, and I'm only 12 and I think I know what I'm doing, so I still have no clue. But Bob Ranc, thank you so much for being here. Did I say that right?
Yes, sir, you did.
All right, I asked him before because I knew I was going to butcher that. But Bob, like I tell all my guests, you happen to be in the welding industry. So this is not about whether you can weld, whether you can use a machine, whether you can do this or that. It's more about the journey on those last 36, 40 years, how you got here, and so everyone else can see that there's so many avenues that you can still consider yourself being in the welding industry. And Bob, we're going to kind of go through your life.
Sure.
So before Bob Ranc, where is your name from? Where are you from? Where's your parents from?
Very easy. Well, the Rance, as I told you, is Czech.
Okay.
And so my dad's side of the family immigrated here from the Czech Republic back in the early 1900s.
Wow.
And when they came through Ellis Island, my name never got an E put on the back of it to pronounce it Rance.
So they're actually on the book?
They're actually on the book, R-A-N-C.
Wow.
In the Czech Republic, it would have something over the top of it to pronounce it Rance.
Right, yeah.
But for some reason, we never got an E like the rest of the R-A-N-C-E's in the United States.
Yeah, which is what I thought, yeah.
Yeah, and so that side, and then my mom's side, she was English.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so they come over, and they stayed in the New York area, or where did they go?
Nope, everybody immigrated to the Cleveland, Ohio area.
Was there a specific reason for that?
As far as I know, other than the fact that my dad's grandparents, he was a big tool and die guy.
Okay, all right.
And as we all know, Cleveland, Ohio, the Rust Belt, right?
There you go.
A lot of manufacturing stuff, and so he came to Cleveland, I'm sure, because that's where the jobs were.
Gotcha, just like most of us immigrants, yeah.
Yes.
For sure.
The Rances have, at least me, other than 5.5 years in St. Louis, I've been a Cleveland guy my whole life. I love the place, and never leaving.
All right, well, sorry about the sports team. That was just a jab. I had to. Now, let's go back to you as a kid. Now you are in Ohio, Cleveland. How is that growing up in Cleveland?
It's fantastic. It's as far as I'm concerned, the quality of life based upon the things to do in Cleveland.
Gotcha.
It's a big league city with 3 sports teams.
Yeah.
Oh,
they do?
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah. There's a baseball team that has won some things. There was a football team through the 50s and 60s that was pretty darn good, but since then,
hey, I'm supposed to be a Dolphins fan, so I get it. Yeah. Yeah.
And then the Cavaliers, they won a championship with LeBron. So we did have that going for us. But we do have the Cleveland Orchestra is world renowned.
Yeah.
The restaurants in Cleveland are out of this world.
I do have to agree.
And
yes, that is so
true. Cleveland, like I joke, I work for a company now in Orange County, California. And when I go out there, the traffic drives me nuts. Cleveland, you can get from east side to west side in 30 minutes. It's no traffic unless there's an accident, and even then it ain't so bad. But and the education in that area, you have Case Western Reserve, one of the best universities in the United States of America, but you also have some smaller schools like John Carroll, Baldwin Wallace, Cleveland State University. So you have great educational opportunities, and then the cost of living is incredible. I was in California Wednesday and stopped to fill up the rental car at $6.50 some a gallon.
Versus
Cleveland, it's right around $3.29 right now. So,
and you wonder why people are flocking, live in that state, right? But that's a whole new program,
it is.
Right?
Yes, it is.
So as a kid, were you into sports?
Very much so, yes.
Because I know you coach, right? Or you ump?
No, I am a high school football, basketball, and lacrosse referee.
That's what I thought.
But prior to that, when I first came home from school, College, I coached high school football and girls basketball
Okay.
for 5 years.
Because of your kids?
No, because my high school coach asked me to come. They needed somebody. And during that time period, my first job out of school was I was a salesman for a company called Swagelock.
Okay.
And I just had a local territory. I didn't travel anywhere
Gotcha.
outside of the west side of Cleveland. And so I had time to do it.
All right.
And then when I got my first job in this industry, I started to travel 6 states. So I had to
That kind
stop
of took
doing
over
that.
the whole thing. Yeah, and the reason why I asked, if it was because of his kids, because I know that you are a husband, and you're a dad, and you are a grandpa too, right?
Yes, I am.
Right. So how many kids you have?
6 kids.
How many grandkids?
7.
All right. And how long have you been married?
43 years.
Wow, he actually answered that pretty quick.
To
All
the
right.
same woman.
I'm impressed. Now, how old are the kids? Are they grown out of the house,
Yeah,
of course, and everybody's doing their
out,
thing?
but there's 17 years between my oldest and my youngest, and my oldest son, shame on me, 1980. I don't know. He's 40 years old now,
Hey,
and then I got him all the way down to 24 years old.
wow,
Yeah.
cool. So when you were locally there, because you had that position that allowed you to coach and all that, and then you got another position that demanded traveling.
Yes.
Were your kids young, or
Yes.
yes, they
Oh,
were
yes.
young, meaning like 10,
Oh, well,
15,
no,
whatever.
No. My first job in this industry was with a company called Western Enterprises.
Okay, correct.
They were a customer of mine when I was with Swagelock. I called on them.
Gotcha.
The vice president of sales approached me about a regional sales manager's job covering 6 states.
Okay.
We sat down, we talked, we saw it as a good opportunity,
Yep.
and once I got into it, I've never been out. And
Yeah.
my kids were, my first 2 kids, my son Bobby was 4, I guess, and my daughter Amanda was 2 when I
Wow.
first started. Yes.
So how much traveling did that?
I was
meant
every
back
other
in-
week.
All right, so that's kind of manageable,
Yeah.
right? Especially
Yes.
because some of us nowadays, the demand is outrageous, and we know because I see you at every show, everything out there, and I know how much you travel. This guy has more energy than me, and I think I have a few less summers than him, but this guy puts me to bed. I'm like, I go to bed and he's still doing his thing. I just don't know how he does it. But kudos to you. Now, so Western for a few years,
Yes.
and that was the introduction into the welding industry, right?
Correct.
Into
Yes.
this, what we do now.
Yes.
Then how long were you there and what came next?
I was there 2.5 years.
Okay.
And then I was approached by what was called Thermodyne back then, which is
Victor,
now
yeah,
ESOP.
correct, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And my first position with them was as the national sales manager for their specialty gas equipment.
Okay.
And I was there in St. Louis for 5.5 years, but first 2 years doing that, and then I became what they called national accounts manager.
Okay.
So everything that Thermodyne sold, from Victor to Thermodynamics to Jackson Products, old timers will know that.
Yeah.
Tweco products.
Yep.
I would sell that to everything that was outside of the manufacturer to distributor market. So I was selling to firepower welding cutting outfits to
Gotcha.
Sam's Clubs. I would be selling Jackson safety equipment to people like Snap-on Tools.
Huh.
An old company in Minnesota called Century Manufacturing. I would sell Tweco guns. So like I said, everything that was outside of the Victor guys going into the
regular,
welding
yeah.
distributors, I would sell to those other markets.
Interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, that's I would have never guessed that, even though of course I'm not that old into the industry, but I would have never guessed that
Yes.
that's what he took, at least that's what you were doing. So then 5 and change, then
Yes.
what comes next?
What came next was my wife and I wanted to get back to Cleveland, Ohio.
Because you were in St. Louis.
We were in St. Louis
Gotcha.
at the corporate headquarters.
All righty.
St. Louis, great town.
Yeah.
Mississippi River's a big body of water. If you go,
Even if it wasn't, we're not going to say anything else about anybody else. Everything's great out there.
yes,
Yeah.
and Mississippi's great north and south, but we missed Lake Erie. We missed the Great Lakes, and I searched around. I was very fortunate that a gentleman by the name of Don Moninger had just purchased a company called Superior Products.
Okay.
And Don was looking for some more sales help.
Gotcha.
And I wanted to get back to Cleveland.
Yeah.
And fate
It
had
fit.
it. Went to work for Superior Products. And great. It was great. I worked there for 23 years.
There's a reason for that.
Yes.
There's a reason for
Yeah.
that. And yeah, that's and because we have mutual friends in the industry,
Yes.
and Allison and some other people
Right,
out there
and
that
Melissa, yeah.
yeah, correct. Now
Yes.
are working for that same company, and they feel the same. We just grow out of certain things here and there, and that's just life. We are all perfect examples of this. So after 20 something years with the company,
Yes.
and you have to make another change. How easy is that after 20 something years?
Not easy.
Right?
It's not easy.
Correct.
As you know, and everybody in this industry knows, this industry has great people in it. You
It
make
does.
great friends.
For
you
sure.
know. Some of my best friends that have come to all my kids' weddings and all
Yeah.
that are my friends from this industry. And
Look, I just got goosebumps because I feel the same way, and I'm only 12 years in, and I can say exactly the same thing. It's just an amazing industry that I had no clue 12 years ago. So
Yeah.
I get it.
No, and so when Superior was sold, we were sold to the Rego Group.
Yeah.
Very good group. It's
Correct.
now, oh my gosh, my brain just went dead. It's part of the OPW group now.
Yeah,
Dover. Dover is the
Correct.
company I was looking for. But Rego was who purchased us at the time.
Okay.
And I stayed.
Yeah.
It was my personality. Hey, my personality was not that of.
It's live, guys, so we got
yeah,
people walking by.
and waving to us.
Hey, we got to say hi. Yeah.
Just was my personality.
Gotcha.
And a good friend of mine by the name of Hector Villarreal,
Correct.
owner of WEMCO, looked
Yep.
at me and said, "You just don't look happy." And I said, I can make it work. And but he said, "Why don't you come to work for me?" And I did turn Hector down like 3 times.
Yep.
And he goes, "What's the problem?" I said, "I'm worried that we are such good friends. I come to work for you, and then you look at me after 6 months, or I look at you after 6 months and go, how were we ever friends?" But
That's very interesting to say
yeah,
that, right?
but it worked out great.
Good.
Worked out great. Hector and I are still today great friends, even
Yeah.
though.
Now you're with somebody else.
Yes, I'm with MK Products,
Yeah.
and another one of my good friends, Chris Westlake, the owner of MK Products, approached me about needing a national sales manager, and I said, "Well, I'll keep my ears open." And he goes, "No, I want you," and I'm like, "No, I'm not leaving Welcoa." And then, as fate had it, he just made me an offer I couldn't refuse, and I drove to Chicago, sat down with Hector, and
Of course.
and he understood. And what I love about this, just Wednesday or Thursday, was at West Air playing in their Make-A-Wish charity outing, and my cart partner was Hector.
Yep.
And we're still good friends to this day, and probably till
Yeah.
one of us kicked the bucket. And but that's what's great about this industry.
And that's what's amazing, guys, because of course, every industry, every person that's in that one industry says that industry, it's great, it's the best thing ever. And we get it, you create those relationships, but every once in a while you get those things landed on your table. You're not even looking, they just come in and somebody sees something in you for whatever reason, and it's so hard when someone says, "I can do this for you," and let's face it takes money. It is what it is, and you can say whatever you want, but we all need money to make a living, make a decent living, and we want to make sure that our families are safe and their future is secure and all that. And sometimes you don't even want anyone to come at you and give you a deal
Yes.
or say anything, because then now you have to think about it. So I've been there a couple of times in the last 12 years, and it's something that, no, I'm good. Don't mention it again.
Right.
Because I want to be able to go to sleep, and now my brain is running. But
it's I've hired guys into this industry, and I told them when I hired them, welcome to the Twilight Zone.
Right.
Because you're going to get in, you're never going to get out of this
Yep.
industry. Your name badge, company-wise, may
Yep.
change, but you're going to stay. And just to mention a couple names, Tim Madden, who is now the Vice President of Sales for Sherwood Valve.
Yeah.
Hired him straight out of college. And then another person, Larry Cassessa, who's the Vice President of Sales for Abacore Binzel.
Yeah.
Both started at Superior working for me. Two great guys that really
it's almost
do
like
well
coaching
in
a
this
sports
industry.
team,
It is.
right?
It-
You know, you see that, hey, they go to A, AA, AAA, and it's like, hey, I was part of
Well,
that. It's
and-
got to feel good.
You know, the thing I did, and that's what I really liked about those guys, they each had their strengths were my weaknesses.
There you go.
And you got to be confident in yourself that you're hiring somebody that way. And I kind of look at it like the Bill Belichick coaching tree. These guys have gone on to things, and I can sit back and say, I hired them into the industry.
Yep, there you go.
You know, and I'm proud of that. And, you know,
You should be.
We're all good friends, great guys. Another guy we hired, actually, Larry actually hired him, but Bo from Kaplan Cylinders is now their Vice President of Sales.
Like I said, it's just,
great,
it's
great
right
guys.
here.
It
It's
is.
right here.
It is. And
That's-
it's, you know, there's a lot of my good friends that, gosh, we see each other and we talk about stuff we did back in, you know, 1987 or 1990.
Which we can air here. That's, again, that's another show.
No, that
right?
we're not. I'm just saying we can talk about things. Not here.
This is kind of
Yeah.
PG-13,
Yes,
PG-18.
yeah.
We're not sure what the show is all about yet. Now, Bob, so I also know that you are part of many groups, buying groups and non-profits and stuff like that, GAWDA, AWS, and all these other things. And one of the things that I've admired about you is that you've been running your GAWDA section meeting for how many years?
I think this past year was my 19th.
Correct. That's what I thought I heard when I was there. Why?
Again, camaraderie. It's great to. GAWDA's a great organization. They look for volunteers. I love doing it.
Yeah.
And you know, is it difficult? A little bit.
Of course. It's,
But it's enjoyable. And when it's all over,
Right.
we've had a great meeting. Gives you a good feeling
you get
inside.
something back that it's not even about I got a PO or an order or anything.
Yes,
It's, just, it's beyond that.
Yeah, and you know, the nice thing about it is, how many years ago did we start doing it? We created a partnership. I worked with distributors as co-chair. Now I have Mike Roach from O.E. Meyer.
Correct.
Great young up and coming guy in this industry.
Yep.
He helps me, and what makes it nice is, as a distributor, he can go after the distributors and say, guys, you need to be here.
Right.
Me
if I'm
doing,
in,
me as a vendor, Bob, okay, thanks. You know,
right.
go away. Mike can kind of do that, and he brings in the distributors. I can do that on the vendor end.
Correct,
right?
and that's what's great about that
I think it
partnership.
creates a very strong partnership for us, and then we've been we work really hard on finding. The toughest thing is getting good speakers.
You know, I totally agree. I was looking at the inner workings of putting a meeting together, and when I was talking to a few people, that's exactly what they mentioned too.
Yeah.
It's getting that great content that people can connect or feel like, hey, I want to go to that because there's something that I'm going to get in return. And when you have 3, 4, 5, 7 meetings throughout the year, you all competing for speakers and content, it can get tricky. It can get tricky.
And on a limited budget.
Right? Yeah.
You're looking, Abity has done a great job of getting other distributor presidents to come to her meeting and do that. That's great.
Yeah.
But the content has to be for both the vendor and the distributor.
I totally agree.
Finding speakers that can
Connect
relate
with
and
both.
give both a vendor and a distributor walk away
Material,
stuff they can use. It's not easy to do that.
I can see that. And now we talked earlier about WEMCO.
Yes.
And so I'm a new manufacturer. I come into the industry. I have no clue what anything is. And I just kind of got the 5-second version of what GAWDA is. Now you come to me and say, hey, have you heard of WEMCO? Did you join WEMCO? And I go, huh? So what is WEMCO?
WEMCO stands for Welding Equipment Manufacturers Committee.
Okay.
And a lot of people go, committee? Oh, what are we writing specs for welding? No. we have to be called a committee because our parent is AWS.
Okay.
So
which is the American Welding Society. Correct.
Yes. And so their stuff has to be called a committee. We're more like an association.
Huh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so what we do is our whole thing with WEMCO was started to promote the welding equipment manufacturers, promoting the welding industry.
Okay.
So, you know, we meet once a year at an annual meeting.
Gotcha.
So, you know, the time commitment is not huge
It's
for
minimal,
equipment.
yeah.
And it's just manufacturers. We're not there with distributors or whatever, which sometimes some of the people go, why do I want to be somewhere where I'm not with my customers? But I can tell you that the 20 odd years I've been part of that, you meet with other, and you know, it's everybody, you know, you got to be like national sales manager, president, owner. It's upper level people, but you get to talk about best practices. How you do this. I've never come away from one of those meetings where I didn't talk to somebody that gave me a takeaway value.
Gotcha.
And we bring in speakers that talk about the industry or talk about like this upcoming one that we'll do next year in conjunction with the Spring Management Conference in San Antonio.
Yeah.
We're bringing in people to talk about AI, artificial intelligence. Because it's an up and, you know, you got the cobalts coming out, you got all this stuff, but the artificial intelligence piece is something that our members have come to us on the executive board and said, we want to know more about.
Exactly.
So we're finding speakers that are going to come in and be able to talk about that. We also, part of WEMCO, and I'm the chairman of one of the committees that's called the Excellence in Welding Awards.
Correct. I was part of it. I just saw some of that happening.
You sat at our luncheon and saw that.
Correct.
It is a huge deal to the winners.
Yeah, I saw
that. You know, we have the educational facilities, educators, veterans, small manufacturer, big manufacturer, and media.
Media, correct.
You know,
yes.
And those people winning that award to them, it's an Academy Award. It really is.
Yeah, plus, I mean, in itself, you know, it promotes WEMCO because each one of those candidates, you know, will talk about what just happened to them. So it's a win-win for both sides.
And we get, I can tell you, we get a lot of applications. And it's amazing going through there trying to pare that down to 3 people that we send it out to the rest of the executive committee to vote on the winners.
Yeah.
And trying to pare that down is crazy. The amount, everybody that we get for the most part deserves to win.
Of course, if they made it to that list, there's a reason for
it. But it's a big deal. It's one of the biggest things we do. But the other thing that we do, and that's why we're trying to attract more manufacturers to understand this, we go into schools. And you and I just talked about this before we went on air. I go in and I've done many a presentation. I talk to guidance counselors. Say, oh, you want our vocational guys? No, this isn't about the people under the hoods.
Correct.
I want your whole class.
Exactly.
Everybody. What? Because welding industry is not just welding. It is, right? But it's also welding engineers. And that's what I talk to these kids about is, hey, because I do it in the Cleveland area.
Correct.
In Cleveland, Ohio, you have 2 of the best welding colleges, engineering colleges in the United States, in Ferris State up in Michigan and Ohio State University. And I can guarantee you welding engineers are in huge demand. So if you want to come out with a degree and a job, go for welding engineering. It's, you know.
And yeah, like you said, we talked about this. You know, most people, when you tell them, hey, I'm in the welding industry, all right, great. You know, you're using a welder, you're using a torch. And no, there's so many avenues. I mean, it's like a expressway with 1,000 exits, right? You know, it's, welding it's here, but there's so many other things that you can get into and still call yourself I'm part of the welding industry. And so people like you that are trying to pay it forward and make sure that the next generation, and sometimes it's not even a next generation. There's a lot of 30, 40, 50-year-olds that just want to change careers.
Yeah.
And they just find themselves like, oh, I didn't know. And being exposed to things like that just clicks.
And you talk about it, and that's what I look at these kids and say, look, I've been in sales and marketing my whole life in this industry, and if you gave me a MIG torch right now and asked me to weld something, wouldn't happen.
Exactly.
So, but there's sales and marketing. There's working for distributors in the filling and production of filling gases. There's
being a
all that
rep,
stuff.
being in sales, being working straight direct to for a manufacturer, becoming or creating your own rep agency, which it could be very successful, and you rep things that are all into the welding industry. So the sky's the limit. And now, 36 years into the industry, and like I mentioned before, Bob has a few more summers on me. But one of the things that I also admire about you is that you're very hands-on and very out there on social media.
Yes.
Like you, and the reason why I say that is because I admire that, because let's face it, a lot of people your age are not into it. I'm like, whatever, that's just, nah. But every time I see you posting or liking or commenting on anything, it's like, that that's a tool and that's what it takes for many different reasons. Is that why you do it?
It is.
Yeah.
It's to promote our industry.
Yeah.
As I said again, great industry.
Yeah.
And people don't, it's funny, my kids growing up, what's your dad? Oh, he's in the welding and gas. Oh, propane? And they're like, close
Yeah,
enough,
yeah.
You
Sure.
try to explain to them those trucks going down the road with those steel cylinders, or the big bulk trucks going down delivering nitrogen, oxygen. And, people don't realize that's used in manufacturing stuff, but oxygen in hospitals.
Correct.
Nitrogen to drive the bone saws in surgery.
Helium, hydrogen,
Helium
you
for
name it. Yeah.
CAT scans. There's so much other things that the gases are used for, let alone just the hard goods of welding, helmets, leathers, torches, and so forth. So, it's the gas and welding industry is a very unique, very needed. Do we have dips in our economies? Yes, but it is an industry that is going to be needed no matter what the economy is.
What happens?
Right? I mean, COVID, I remember being at WEMCO when COVID hit, and Hector and I are looking at each other going,
what now?
What's going on? And all of a sudden, we had orders for pallets and gas packs because everybody's trying to take oxygen into the big cities and then setting up, portable hospitals and doing this and that. And all of a sudden, we were an essential company where we had to get our employees the passes to be driving into WELCOA to work. Yeah. And, who would have ever thought that?
It's the kind of things that you can't imagine, because that same thing for us. We thought, all right, we're going to close down, close the doors, we'll see you guys in a year, if so. And then because of our HVAC division, we found ourselves being one of the needed ones, and we're like, we got lucky. But out of the whole COVID thing, only maybe 2-3 months we saw a dip.
Right.
Since then, record numbers.
Right.
The economy is supposed to be taking a dip. Specifically this year, same thing. It's like, I'm sure at some point it's going to happen. But hey, I think we're all riding that wave right now, because things are good right now.
Yes.
For whatever reason, it doesn't matter. Everyone can have their own idea of why, but I think it's in a good place, because at some point everything is going to have to be glued together. That's how I call welding, right? There's something happening.
Yes.
Now, when you see yourself now, and now let's jump, who do you work for? What do they do? And what do you do for them?
Okay. Well, I work now for a company called MK Products.
Okay.
Out of Irvine, California.
Okay.
We're on Chris's 3rd generation family, and his son's there now, so we're into our 4th generation.
Wow.
We make products, as you can see with our Cobra here. It's called Cobra Welding Systems.
Okay.
We make push-pull MIG guns.
Okay.
Primarily for the welding of aluminum.
Gotcha.
We make power sources, wire feeders for that wire.
Gotcha.
And then we also do a line of orbital tube welding. And orbital tube welding is taking like tubes and pipes that you want to butt together and weld, primarily for semiconductor industry, for gases flowing, pharmaceutical, food processing, beer, where you can't have anything, you don't want to have any pits and valleys where bacteria can form. They'll do orbital tube welding. And then we make a line of turntables for TIG welding. You set your product up there and you table turns and you're welding that with a TIG weld versus a MIG weld. And what I do for them, I am their national sales manager.
Okay.
So I have a group of, as you said, manufacturers reps across the country that I travel with, promoting MK and trying to grow the MK product line.
Gotcha.
So.
And now that you mentioned reps, and I know because of in 36 years you have gone through quite a few of them. Is there a recipe on knowing when you have a good rep or how to find a good rep, or is that mainly luck and, oh, thank God he worked out?
It's a lot of hits and miss on the rep. I've never, to be honest with you, till I came to MK, had reps.
Huh.
I always
See,
had direct.
That surprises me.
I always have had direct people.
Okay, that's much better, but still people, right?
And there's nothing, believe me, I have some fantastic manufacturers reps.
Yeah.
We're interesting though in the fact that our reps have to really understand processes.
Oh, so they have to be good at the technical side of things.
They have to be good at the technical side, and that is a very tough thing to find nowadays.
I was going to say.
Because everybody's got a bunch of gray hair, just like me, and that knowledge base.
Hey, at least you got gray hair. I have no hair, so you know, hey.
That knowledge base is slowly slipping away, and that's, again, like with WEMCO, promote the industry, because if we don't do it,
who the hell is going to do it?
Who are we going to sell our equipment to? But beyond that, who's going to be in this industry that knows the knowledge to be able to service those things? And that does create a problem. You know, I'll be honest, and my reps know I've hired 2 direct guys now for MK, but very simply because in the areas that they were at, I interviewed a lot of reps, a lot of great guys. I just didn't feel confident in the knowledge base to be able to sell our product.
Correct. And it's not their fault. So it's just, it is what it is, right? It's just, you don't know anything. You don't know, You don't know what you don't know.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So I get it.
Yeah.
Now, here's the important question next. How was your golf game this morning?
My golf game today was okay.
Okay.
Biggest problem was, and they told us when we got there, our greens are fast. Huh. And that was the biggest understatement of the year.
Really? Oh, they were just going?
Oh, they were slick. They were fast. They
really?
Were, yeah.
And how many times a week or a month do you golf?
Do I golf? Believe it or not a lot.
Really? Every time I see you, you're golfing, Bob, so I think that's a lie.
Because you've seen me at GAWDA events. That's when I do most of my golfing.
That is true.
Because when I'm home, I'm refereeing high school, middle school, little kids football, and then in the springtime, I'm doing the same thing with lacrosse. And then now
all right, so what are you taking that you have so much energy to do all these things? 'Cause I can't even get up out of my bed every once in a while. This guy, did you just hear what he just said? How? Hey, brother, I'm glad you can, because some of us are just like, there's no way, no way.
I enjoy it. It keeps me young.
Actually, I can see that. And when I came into the industry, of course, as I'm getting to know a few of the people, and there's a few names out there that stand out that everyone knows for whatever reason. You're one of those names. Everyone knows.
Thank you.
Everyone knows you, but when I say everyone knows them, I'm not saying that everybody's talking same things behind his back, right? Because I was going to say something else. It's just, hey, that's someone that you should know, someone that everyone knows and speaks very highly, but because you've put yourself there, because you've done the work. It's not that it was just given to you. So 36 years in, and you still have this energy to do what you do and how you do it and do it well. I applaud that, because I see guys my age or even younger where we don't cut it. And you know, hopefully at some point I can say that I have, or somebody else will say that I have, but that's somebody else got to say that. Where do you see yourself in the next few years, or the industry? Just to cap this whole conversation.
Well, myself, I hope at some point in time I'll actually retire, but I don't know. You know, for myself personally right now, I still love what I'm doing.
That's a trick.
You know,
physically, mentally, you can still do your job.
Physically, I can get up, I can go, I can do it, you know. let's knock on some wood.
There you
Hopefully
go.
down the road I will not get any sickness or anything that causes me not to be able to do it. So until that point in time, I do it.
Gotcha.
You know, I love it. I love the industry, and I'm happy right now.
Yep.
As far as the industry goes, we've got to work really hard to keep us out front and in front of the younger kids and get them to understand, you know, nowadays it's this, right? It's this, it's this, it's this. We were in San Diego last year, if you remember. There was an influencers conference going on at the same time we were there.
Twitchers, I think. It's
yeah. And I'm talking to some of these and hearing how much money they're making doing this stuff.
I know.
And I'm like, gosh, you probably don't want to come and sell gases, do you? You know, but we've got to find those people and we've got to promote it. I'll be honest with you, maybe I'm one of those weird ones, but I'm not always convinced that kids going to college to get a business degree or a 4-year degree, maybe a 2-year, but you've got to be in the industry, you've got to learn your industry.
Correct.
So start that at some point in time. You know, you're going to be a welding engineer, yes, you've got to go get certified and do that, but I think a lot of kids spend a lot of money nowadays going and getting, and we hear it all the time, useless degrees. But, you know, hey, a degree in business, that's great, but find a industry, and which I think the gas and welding industry is that one that's always going to be there. It's a needed
regardless
something. It's not going to be like retail now. We're seeing, you know, Amazon is putting some people out of business.
Hey, even if we're living in Mars, you know, the welding industry.
So where do I see our industry? I see our industry always being there.
Yeah.
But what do we do to keep it strong is something that I think us old folks right now have to work with the young folks. And I see, you know, we got our young executive group.
Yeah.
Great group of kids.
Correct.
You know, really, I say kids. They're our kids to me, but they're young adults. And we got to keep them active, keep them excited, and keep this industry going forward. So, you know, to conclude that, you know, and answer your question, it's always going to be there. We just have to keep working to make it strong and keep people excited about coming in and joining our industry.
Well said, and I've always said this thing too. One of the reasons why I'm doing this is also to share a light on what we talked about earlier. So many avenues that you can join the welding industry and still call yourself as part of it. But the words that I've used in the past is like, if you don't make this industry sexy, and that's weird using that word, but for the younger generation, they connect differently. And you have to make it fun. You have to make things, and they'll give you their shirt off their back as long as you can connect with them. But if we let all the knowledge that I have acquired because we are 30, 40, 50 years older than this generation, then definitely any industry, it's not going to be around much longer.
Absolutely.
Or at least it'll be order takers, it'll be part changers, and nobody will know how to technically do anything. Because it's, no, here's a new part. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Troubleshooting anything, out the door.
And then get those young people to realize they can come and join us at the Grand YLA in Maui, Hawaii.
That was my last question. So now say where we are again.
Maui, Hawaii.
And that's the welding industry, guys. See what I'm telling you? Bob, thank you so much for saying yes to this conversation. Again, I tell all my guests, I don't know where this is leading, I don't know where it's going, but I'm lucky enough that a lot of people have said yes to expose the welding industry to the 5 listeners or viewers out there. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right?
Enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
I'll see you on the floor somewhere else, and I'll see you guys somewhere else with somebody else. Because if they keep saying yes, who am I to say no? Thank you, guys.
Aloha.
Yep, aloha.